You know the saying, there are no bad questions, right? But in retirement planning, some questions are definitely better than others. And the way you frame the question will help you get the best answer for you. So today, we're going to talk about how you can ask better questions in retirement planning. Welcome in. This is Perfect Game Retirement. I am Ben George. He is Ryan Ledden, certified financial planner and the founder of Black Oak Asset Management. And we're all about asking questions. Ryan, I know we talked about this before. It's good to ask questions. You want to ask questions, but sometimes it's just knowing what question to ask will help you get the answer that you want.
Yeah, we'll go over several of those today. But yes, I hear some questions and I'm like, okay, that could probably be phrased a little bit better. So we'll go over some of those examples today of, what do maybe we hear a good bit and what's maybe a better way to find an answer, whether you already have an advisor or you are looking for an advisor. These are some of the maybe the better questions to ask.
Yeah, so the way we'll do this is I'll ask the question that normally gets asked or what most people would ask about retirement planning. We'll let Ryan kind of rephrase that and make sure you're actually asking the right question about this specific topic. So let's start with the one that everybody I'm sure asked you, Ryan, when they first meet you. How much money do I need to have saved in order to retire? Good question, but what's maybe a better way to ask that?
Yeah, good question. That's the "what's my number" question. We've talked about that on here and on the radio show as well. That everyone's number is different because there's so many different balls in the air when it comes to Social Security, pensions, your nest egg that you do have. Sure, is that nest egg number important and how much income it can create? Sure, but what's our expenses? How much debt do we have? So many different things to consider, but it's essentially how much income will I need or how much income do I want? And then based off of my savings, how much will it produce? So that's kind of the gap we need to figure out and bridge is not my number. What's my number? It's what's my income? How much do I need? So if your monthly income is 6,000 with Social Security's pensions, whatever, and you need 8, well, it's like, okay, can my nest egg bridge that $2,000 a month gap that I need? So again, that's where we can kind of back into that number, but there's so many different scenarios. But what if Social Security and pensions cover all of that? Well, that's fantastic. What if you need $6,000 a month and you have $6,000 a month of income coming in, not even from your investment? So the better question is, how much income will I need and how much will my savings give me based off of what that need is?
All right, so that's a great first question to begin with. All right, what about this question, Ryan? Long-term care. I know that's a big kind of topic that you have to discuss. The question is often, should I get long-term care? Or should I just roll the dice? It's not always that black and white, right?
No, it's. I think when you hear about nursing care or whatever, it's automatically like our brains are wired to go to a long-term care insurance policy. There's a bunch of different options out there. So basically, what are all my options to cover for potential care expenses one day? A long-term care policy may be it. Even a life insurance policy may be it, because there's new hybrid policies out there that you can spend your death benefit while you are alive on care. So it's got to be structured right. It's got to be kind of that particular. Not all life insurance policies are created equally when it comes to stuff like this. So maybe it is a long-term care insurance policy. Maybe it's a life insurance policy. Some annuities have some income doublers on there, as long as there's a account balance in the annuity and you're taking income off of it. Sometimes certain annuities will double whatever they're paying out. So if they're paying you 30 grand a year, they'll pay you 60 grand a year. Is that going to cover all the long-term care expenses? Probably not, but it'll help alleviate some of it. So the trend for a while when I first got in the industry was, let's sell as many long-term care policies, insurance policies as possible. Then that industry has greatly changed. There's only a few carriers out there who even offer long-term care insurance policies. So, but now life insurance companies have kind of changed and morphed, if you will, throughout the landscape of long-term care insurance. So there's not just one way, but what are the options that you do have?
All right. We want to ask better questions, smarter questions in retirement planning. I know everyone, when they're working with an advisor, Ryan, wants to know, hey, what's this going to cost me? And oftentimes they'll ask the question, where can I pay the lowest fee for financial advice? We want to save money, but it's more about value, isn't it?
Yeah, it's how much value and worth does an advisor bring? Sure, they're going to cost money, and advisors are paid differently, so it's okay to ask that question. But to pay the lowest fees possible is to do it on your own. That's 100% the lowest way to pay fees, and being cognizant of the internal expenses and the funds that you are using. But there's a lot of people that do not. There's so many moving parts to financial planning. It's not just the investments. It's the estate planning. It's the tax planning. It's the investments. It's Social Security. It's Medicare. It's life insurance. It's long term care insurance. I mean, there's a lot to it, and most people don't want to navigate that on their own because they could be missing out on something. So it's really like, how do I get the best value out of my advisor? Not necessarily how much they cost. We want to be seen as a value. If we're not seen as a value, we're not doing our job.
All right, that's an important one. And again, I know most people are looking for that. And if you have questions for Ryan, you want to talk about what it's going to cost, you want to talk about the process, go to speakwithryan.com, set up a time to begin having those conversations and figuring out if that's the best path forward for you. All right, let's talk taxes, right? The taxes is a big part of what you do, a big part of the conversation when you're talking about planning for the future. I know the question comes up, hey, what can I do to pay less in tax this year? Everybody's thinking, hey, next April, how can I be in the best position? Well, how should you be looking at it, Ryan?
Yeah, it should be in the really, how can I save on taxes in the future? Because the future is the unknown. I know we know what the tax rates are now, and at least in the foreseeable next few years, we know what the tax code is going to be. But what does that look like in 10 years from now? What does that look like in 20 years from now? Well, we don't know. But how can we take advantage of the tax bracket that we are in? Whether that does mean moving things around and doing Roth conversions, because the day of reckoning of taking money out of pre-tax accounts is going to happen sometime. It's some are already taking RMDs. For some, it'll be at age 73. For some, it'll be age 75 because the law continually changed. And so those ages are a little bit different. If you have an inherited IRA and the person died before 2020, they have a different set of rules. If they died after 1/1 of 20, they have a different set of rules on how they take that money out. So a lot of things going on there, but how can I save on taxes in the future? Because again, Medicare premiums, Social Security, all those things are dictated on how much taxable income you have, not income, just taxable income. So that kind of goes to all those pre-tax 401ks and IRAs. So not necessarily just the current year, but how can we save on taxes maybe the rest of our lives?
You mentioned Social Security, and I know you get a lot of questions about that. One of those questions is probably, should I take Social Security at age 62 or should I wait until 70? So when you're trying to figure out a claiming strategy, Ryan, what should you be asking in terms of Social Security?
Basically, what is the best strategy for claiming Social Security for me and my spouse? Especially with a spouse, it can be very, very different, especially if there's a discrepancy in how much they made in income over the course of their lives. If they didn't have a huge discrepancy, then it may make some maybe decisions a little bit easier. But again, we factor that in because the planning software that we use will go through all those different scenarios. And again, until the government changes it, obviously your full retirement age for people born after 1960 is 67. That's their FRA, full retirement age. So you can still work and claim Social Security at 67 and not pay any reduction in benefits. If you're still working full time and you claim Social Security before your FRA, then you pay a reduction, not only just from an age standpoint, but from an income standpoint. So you need to be aware of that. 70 is the latest you can do as of the recording of this show. Who knows? They may push that back. You never know because the pressure that Social Security is under. So it really boils down to a planning, not just an age thing. It's really a planning thing for what's best for your situation.
Yeah, it's all about what's best for your situation, and kind of takes us to our next question because a lot of people want to know, going into retirement, should I pay off my mortgage before I retire? Do I need to get rid of that debt, Ryan? So that seems like a pretty good question, but what should
Mhm.
we ask?
Yeah, it's really what's the smartest way to manage my debt, because I think a lot of people now, especially consumer debt, like that needs to be paid off. And I've even met with people who have a parent plus loan, so they're basically paying a student loan off for their kid, and they're getting into retirement because people are having kids at a later age. I mean, we had kids at a later age at 33 and 37. I could be off a little bit on that, but that's about when we had our kids. So, my son's still in sixth grade right now. And so we'll be older, quote unquote, older parents, if you will. So there's those waters to navigate, but we need to pay off that consumer debt first, especially credit card debt. My goodness, that needs to be done before you retire. That's an absolute must, because the interest rate is going to kill you on that. And if you don't have earned income coming in and you're only taking money out from your investments, that could be a problem. Not everyone has their mortgage paid off. That usually is the number one question, like you just asked, Ben. That is usually the top of mind, because that's the biggest expense on a monthly basis. Because obviously we're still going to have house expenses, whether that's homeowners insurance and property taxes and maintenance. You're still going to have that, but maybe we can get rid of that $2,500 a month mortgage payment. That would be huge. And sometimes maybe it means taking more out of your nest egg to pay for that, because that's a big offset that you can have on a monthly basis. Or maybe how much longer do you have on the term of that mortgage? Maybe there's only 3 years left. Hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and pay that off during the 3 years and not take a huge lump sum out of our nest egg at one time. But if it's 25 years, okay, maybe we need to do that, because the interest payments are a lot on the front end of a mortgage. So a lot of things to dissect. I'm all about having zero debt in retirement. That would be great. That's ideal, but let's do it the right way.
Yeah, do it the right way. All right, here's one more question, Ryan. Especially with the market kind of going up and down, a lot of uncertainty. I know people are just kind of anxious quite a bit with the market. And I know the question comes up, hey, should I just move everything to cash until the market calms down a little bit? So what should we be thinking about when we're uncomfortable with the market?
Yeah, it's really like, how should my portfolio adapt to all the volatility and the changing situations? That's really what it should be, because every portfolio has a range. There's going to have a downside range and a topside range. And how far apart are those guardrails? Are they shrunk where our portfolio is pretty tight, or is it pretty wide? Everyone's going to be different with that. Obviously, if you shrink the bottom side, the top side's got to come down. That's a standard deviation thing. That's a portfolio risk thing. And how much risk do you want to take on, and how much capacity do you have to take on? If you don't have to take on a ton of risk, and my theory is, why do it? If it increases your chances to have a more consistent portfolio versus a volatile portfolio, then let's achieve that. So as you get older, maybe that portfolio switches to the more consistent versus the more volatile. So there's constant changes. I mean, I have conversations with my retirees all the time. Hey, the market's done really well the last 5 years, with the exception of 2022. Outside of that, the market's done really well. So when we use conservative rates of return in our plan, we've seen the returns be much higher than what we planned for. So that's house money in my kind of term. That's house money. So take some of that money off the table and maybe put it in more conservative investments. That way, when the market does have a pullback, and there will be a pullback, I'm not saying when it's going to happen, it will happen. So maybe we push pause on the market-based investments and pull out from our more conservative investments that we've been building up over time. So that's where I'm really big on the portfolio needs to be changed quite a bit, but moving in and out of cash, that's not the way to do it.
All right. Well, I think the biggest thing to keep in mind, right? The smartest investors aren't always looking for answers. They're looking for better questions to ask. And on the other side of that too, really good advisors aren't going to just kind of hand out advice that works for everyone, not cookie cutter advice. They're going to be helping you rethink the way that you approach your money, the way you approach your financial planning. And that's what this conversation hopefully will help you do. Hopefully ask better questions. But the team at Black Oak Asset Management can always help you think about what's most important for you and the strategies that will work for your own needs, your own goals in retirement. So get in touch. Speakwithryan.com, easy way to do that. All the contact information, though, will be found in the show description. Please subscribe as always. Ryan, appreciate the insight. Look forward to catching up again next week.
Absolutely. Ask questions, ask away if we do get in contact. That's what we're here for.